Should you try to align your back without a chiropractor? When patients are considering how to align their spine or their back, what they're trying to understand is what a normal spine looks like. In a normal spine, in a healthy spine, we have vertebrae or bones of the spine that are stacked upon each other. And they're stacked upon each other in a way to make the spine straight from the front and have a natural alignment or smooth curves from the side. And the curves go from your neck to your mid-back to your low back, and they kind of act like a spring to help deal with compression forces over time. In order for a spine to function optimally or properly, it has to be maintained in its natural curvatures and alignment. And the spine's natural curvatures make the spine stronger, like I mentioned, make it more flexible, make it better to absorb and distribute mechanical forces that occurred as a result of gravity and movement. A misaligned spine, meaning the spines are no longer properly aligned, either from the front or from the side. And this disrupts normal spinal biomechanics, which affect normal spinal function. So patients try to align their spine by not going to professionals or chiropractors. And really the main reason is they're trying to save some money. Maybe they're trying to save time. They feel they don't have time. Sometimes they feel like their home version of what they're trying to do may be less invasive, or they're looking for kind of a quick fix or some immediate pain relief. And what some people don't understand is that it is the nature of a misaligned spine to worsen over time because of gravity compressing down on it. And there are risks associated with home treatment. Now, most of the risk is associated that the curve can continue to worsen or problems can continue to worsen. But since you don't know what you're looking at and you don't know which way you need to move things, just by trying to move things on your own, you can possibly move things in the wrong direction and cause further complications or further problems. So there's some risks really trying to attempt to align your spine or align your back by yourself. While some spinal conditions may experience some temporary relief from what I feel patients say, well, I'm aligning my spine by making it crack, making their spine crack at home. In some conditions, it can actually be harmful. Cracking your back or cracking your spine is really a term that's not actually a chiropractic technique. It's really describing what's happening or a sound that you hear. Sometimes it's occurred when the spine is actually moved. But applying pressure to the spine until you hear something pop is a kind of a sound that occurs when there's normally derotation or some kind of rotation that's occurring in the spine and causing gas being released into the joint tissue. It doesn't mean the spine is actually moving from here to there. In fact, there are some techniques that involve the spine from moving from here to there that actually make no sound. But cracking the back can bring some temporary relief, and it kind of feels good. But in terms of taking an X-ray before you crack your spine and taking an X-ray after you crack your spine doesn't necessarily mean you're going to see a structural change, because we know cracking the spine doesn't really address the underlying structural spinal condition. It may provide some temporary relief. It may make somebody feel a little bit better, but there are risks associated for this. So what are some spinal conditions that should not be treated from home just by cracking? Well, structural spinal conditions can be very complex, and the treatment needs to impact them on a structural level. In fact, one of the things I always talk about when patients have a structural component to their spine is unless you deal with the structure and all you deal is with the symptoms of the structure, you're never going to get any long-term results. And in fact, most cases, the structural misalignment will continue to worsen over time. And normally there's really no stretch or back propping or general exercise alone that has the power to induce a structural change. Scoliosis, for example, is a structural spinal condition that involves the development of an unnatural curve with rotation. In addition, scoliosis is a progressive condition, meaning that it will worsen over time, like most structural conditions, if not treated properly. And the reason why, like I mentioned, the spine alignment is normally to deal with compression of gravitational forces over time. And if your spine's not in the proper alignment, this compressive forces of gravity will worsen the misalignment. So scoliosis really shouldn't be treated at home because because nothing that you can do just on a home level, meaning cracking your own back or anything like that, is going to have a structural level. And first and foremost, it needs to be monitored because we know these curves can progress. So unless you have some way of having access to X-ray in your home, you can't see if your spine's actually getting better, and you can't see if your spine is actually getting worse. And if you're just using symptoms, meaning it's my back feeling a little bit better or feeling the worst, those always things don't equate to whether your structural level is actually worsening or not worsening. So therefore, there's no way to gauge how the spine is responding. And since there's no way of gauging how the spine is responding, if the spine is progressing and becoming worse, it is definitely becoming more complex to treat. As curves and as structural conditions worsen, they're always harder to treat. More structural misalignment, always, by the time they start with treatment, can always be a more difficult person to reduce later. Meaning, I'd rather deal with a 10-degree misalignment than a 20-degree misalignment, because we're always going to reduce curves a percentage of what they start with. So the smaller the misalignment is, the better results we're going to get. So patients who come to me after trying home treatment can sometimes be very challenging because the curve normally has worsened, and sometimes their home treatment may have worsened some things. And so very often I see patients that know they have a scoliosis or a structural misalignment, and they maybe watch some videos on YouTube or do some stuff like this, and they get some exercises that they start doing or do some core strengthening exercises, and their curves worsen. And by the time they come to see me, their curves have significantly worsened, and we've wasted a significant amount of time. And in addition, we've lost opportunity, because as the curve worsened, we'll never get back to where they were if they would have started treatment with the minute they diagnosed it. So, but can people do something to help their spinal health and can help their outcome when they do to choose treatment? Yes, there's a lot of things patients can do at home to help support spinal health, and also can help support any type of spinal rehabilitation or corrective program they choose to partake in. First thing is good posture can prevent a lot of issues, meaning a good ergonomic posture, being very careful with the devices that they're using, not staying in a very flexed position, making sure they have a very ergonomic position on their computer or on their desk or with their laptop. Make sure they're not putting themselves in a very flexed position or in a position that the spines are already shifted to, meaning if you have a thoracic curve, you're not sitting into that thoracic curve. We know flexibility and muscle strength of the spine is also important, even though I think stretching and exercise won't move the spine into a straighter position. But the stronger and the more flexible somebody's body is, the better they respond to conservative treatment. So we recommend normal exercise, normal stretching, normal activities for spinal health, because the healthier you are, the better you're going to respond to any type of conservative treatment that you choose to do. Maintaining a healthy weight of the spine of your body is also important, so the joints are not excessively strained. We also know body type can influence a position, meaning as patients' body types change, the body will respond in time and need to balance the weight. So the more you have to carry, the more the body can shift their spine out of alignment. And we also know patients that have a healthy weight respond better to treatment. Right? So therefore, we recommend maintaining as healthy a weight as possible and practice proper lifting properly, or ergonomic lifting properly, because if patients lift improperly and they have a structural deviation, they're more prone to injury. So cracking the back or cracking your spine or trying to align your spine by twisting and turning and making it make a sound may make you feel better for a small amount of time. But in terms of correcting a true structural misalignment, this is beyond the scope of any type of cracking that could happen with any type of home stretch or home twisting. At Scoliosis Reduction Center, we offer very condition-specific chiropractic care, not only for scoliosis, but really other areas of structural misalignment, or something that we call vertebral subluxation. For actual long-term sustainable pain relief, you have to get structural changes to the area that's out of alignment, and actually be able to document those structural changes on an X-ray to make sure that it's moving in the right direction. Thanks for watching. I hope you found this information helpful. If you'd like to hear about other topics and information on scoliosis, type in the comments below and let us know. And finally, subscribe and hit the bell icon to be notified of when we publish content. Thanks.